In 2019, a physics professor noticed something strange. The new edition of his required textbook had changed exactly one sentence from the previous year. The price? It went up by $47. This isn't a mistake. This is a $15 billion industry built on a scam so obvious, so brazen, that once you see it, you'll never look at college the same way again.
This is the textbook conspiracy.
Let's start with Sarah. Freshman year. Biology major. She walks into the campus bookstore with her syllabus. She walks out $1,200 poorer.
One day.
But here's where it gets weird.
Her biology textbook? $400.
The exact same textbook, same author, same publisher, same content, sells for $60 in India. Same book. And that chemistry textbook marked required 11th edition? The 10th edition from last year is $15 used. Her professor literally wrote in the syllabus, only 11th edition accepted. What changed between editions? We'll get to that. But first, you need to understand that this isn't capitalism. This isn't supply and demand. This is a perfectly designed system to eliminate every single free market principle. And it's legal. The textbook industry runs on what economists call a separated market. It works like this. The person who chooses the product, the professor, doesn't pay for it. The person who pays for the product, the student, doesn't get to choose it. And the person who sells the product, the publisher, only has to convince one of these people. Guess which one?
Publishers spend millions whining and dining professors.
Free desk copies, conference sponsorships, author partnerships that pay royalties. They've turned textbook selection into a lobbying game. And here's the genius part. Professors have zero incentive to choose cheaper books. It doesn't affect their budget. Many genuinely don't even know what their required textbook costs. In 2020, a survey found that 65% of professors had never even checked the price of the textbooks they assigned. The result, between 2006 and 2016, textbook prices increased 88%. In that same period, consumer prices overall increased 21%. Textbooks are inflating 4 times faster than normal inflation. But wait, you might be thinking, couldn't students just buy used copies? Save money? Congratulations, you just identified the publisher's biggest threat. Enter the edition treadmill. Publishers release new editions every 2-3 years. And here's what actually changes. A 2013 study by Student Peer Grades analyzed 18 textbook editions. The findings, 76% of changes were cosmetic. New covers, reshuffled chapters, updated photos. Many had identical word counts. One math textbook literally just renumbered the practice problems. That physics textbook I mentioned earlier, researchers compared the 6th and 7th editions. One sentence changed in a 1,200-page book. But the chapter numbers were different. So you couldn't use the old edition. By design, this kills the used textbook market. Every 3 years, the cycle resets. Your older siblings' books? Worthless. And if that doesn't work, publishers have a nuclear option. Access codes. Walk into a bookstore today, and that $300 biology textbook comes bundled with an access code. This code unlocks the online homework platform. Here's the beautiful trap. The code works once. It expires after 1 semester. It's required to do homework, which is graded. You literally cannot pass the class without it.
And unlike a textbook, you can't resell an access code.
You can't share it. You can't rent it.
It's the perfect anti-used book weapon.
Pearson, McGraw-Hill, and Cengage, the big three publishers, now make over 50% of their revenue from digital products.
Not because they're better, because they're impossible to resell.
They've turned education into a subscription service.
But the scam goes even deeper.
Remember when I said this eliminates free market principles? Here's how deep it goes.
Pearson doesn't just publish textbooks. They own the homework platform, MyLab, run the bookstore contracts,
Administer the placement tests.
provide faculty training,
Sometimes literally write the curriculum.
At some universities, Pearson is the publisher, the bookstore, the software vendor, and the curriculum designer.
They've vertically integrated the entire education supply chain. In 2017, Cengage acquired McGraw-Hill's education division. We went from Big 3 to Big 2.5. Less competition, more control.
And when students complained, publishers played their final card. They blamed piracy.
We have to raise prices because students steal PDFs. Except the Government Accountability Office investigated this.
They found that piracy rates for textbooks are lower than for music, movies, or software.
The real reason for price increases: a captive market with inelastic demand.
You need the textbook to pass.
You need to pass to graduate.
You need to graduate to get a job.
They're not selling you education. They're selling you access to your own future. And they know you'll pay anything.
But here's where the story gets interesting.
Students started fighting back.
The Open Educational Resources movement created free, peer-reviewed textbooks.
Chemistry, calculus, biology. All free, all legal, all high quality. OpenStax, run by Rice University, has saved students over $1.3 billion since 2012. Some professors said screw it and started writing their own materials.
Free PDFs, Creative Commons licenses, actual education over profit.
20 states have passed legislation requiring professors to disclose textbook costs before students register.
The University of Georgia system requires professors to justify why they're not using free alternatives. And in 2021, California invested $115 million in open textbooks.
It's working. Slowly.
The average student now spends $600 per year on textbooks, down from $900 in 2016.
But we're still spending $3 billion per year.
On an industry that adds almost zero educational value compared to free alternatives.
So what's the real scam?
It's not that textbooks are expensive.
It's that we've designed a system where the buyer has no choice.
The seller has no competition.
The decision maker has no accountability.
And everyone just accepts it as the cost of education.
Over 4 years, the average student spends $2,400 on textbooks. That's a used car. That's a semester of groceries. That's rent.
And for what? Access to homework problems?
The trillion-dollar scam isn't that they're overcharging. It's that they convinced us education should be locked behind a paywall in the first place.
Oh, and that physics professor from the beginning. He now releases his entire textbook for free online, updates it yearly, and licenses it so anyone can copy it.
His university threatened to fire him. The publisher sued him. He won. Sometimes the system breaks.